Great lead story, yeah. Yeah, well, I hope I don't become a lead story.
If ever you've lost someone in your life that's very close to you, then you realise life's very precious, life's very short. We're not here for a very long time. You might as well enjoy yourself.
When someone close to you dies, you know, you suddenly realise, gee, you know, we're not immortal, and you know, you suddenly realise, hey, maybe, you know, you should be saying stuff to your close friends and family before it's too late to say it to them.
You are watching the Story of INXS. I'm Bill Welychka, and helping tell the story of INXS would happen to be two members sitting with me right here. This would be Andrew and Kirk. Good to see you.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back to Canada.
Thank you very much.
There's a lot of memories that are coming back for me. I was buying INXS records in the 80s, so there's a lot of memories within each song. What kind of memories for the band?
If I can put it this way, I think because two of the guys in the band are my brothers, I not only get memories, I get a life from INXS. It's been a life. And you know, our dad, you know, us Farrises, because there's three of us, he always says with a smile on his face, "Oh, you guys are just on a trip, you know. You're just on a trip, you know. You know what you're doing, you know." And he's kind of funny. What he means is, I guess, you know, I got 3 kids, and if my kids would have been in a band and run around the world doing what we're doing, you'd wonder what the heck they're doing, you know. But I mean, ultimately, we've seen everything. We've been involved in some nightmares, some positive experiences that are beyond your wildest dreams. Stuff that if someone said was going to happen to you, you just got to be kidding, you know. That's not going to happen to me, you know. I mean, you know, we've seen every avenue of the high and low I think you can possibly see.
Right from the beginning, we kind of made a commitment as a band, you know, to stick it out as long as we can, you know, as far as we can take it, and as long as we're still, you know, as far as we're concerned, moving forward, and you know, creating something that's different.
It starts with 6 people that are all very different to each other, extremely different. We all have different tastes, different lifestyles, even different morals, values, and ideologies. And to keep that together, it's very hard, but it's worth it. You know, it's a big puzzle, and that you can't really understand until the last piece gets put in every time. And we play original music, I think, and to play original music is dangerous.
It seems that there's so many Australian bands cropping up all over the place. What is the scene like over there?
There is a lot of new bands, you know, especially the bands are getting younger as well, because you don't have to get into a pub to play as well, you know, because this is another thing that's changing, is that video. We have so many shows, and that you can just about, if the clip is good enough sort of quality to get on, you can get it on.
Let's go back to the late 70s. Interesting decade, especially at the end, when all these musical genres were all sort of
Punk and disco and ska.
It was bizarre, and that hasn't happened since. That much stuff is going on at once, and INXS seemed to board upon a little bit of every one of them.
Yeah. I mean, we grew up with all sorts of influences. Australian radio in the early sort of, well, in the 60s and the 70s. There was only a few radio stations, and they weren't like American ones where, you know, they had formats and you were a this or a that, or a, you know, a heavy metal station or a middle of the road or an AOR or there. Each station, you know, you would hear from, you know, Frank Zappa to Rufus and Chaka Khan to Black Sabbath, you know, to Aretha Franklin to Little Feat or something, you know, all in a row, you know.
What Kirk just said about the radio formats, we thought then that
We thought the rest of the world was
the rest of the world listened to one radio format
Yeah, no,
with
I
all
mean-
this music thrown in together, and then therefore, you know, that's what you had to do to be successful overseas. So when we came overseas, we thought, well, we'll just write a whole lot of songs and embrace R&B, rock music, you know, ballads. We'll just put everything in there.
You go from listening to a lot of music, we listen to a lot of R&B and soul, all of us, I think, and you go from listening to it on, you know, at home with your friends, which we all were, to deciding you can play it, you know, really, and that's how we got into it, and just the love of all kinds of music, really. That's why we're still together.
Just the chemistry in the band. I mean, you know, John and perhaps myself are more influenced by music that affects the feet, you know, and then Kirk's more the sort of heart or head type of guy, you know, and Michael's a bit more the sort of the body. Yeah, Michael's a bit sort of lower body, you know, it's just that kind of a blend, I think.
I mean, we started off as a band that sort of carved our way through the quagmire, you know, creating our own sound, and it was painful and occasionally very mistaken, and we messed it up. But you know, when you do that, when you have your own sound, you know, why jump on other people's bandwagons? So we've always tried to stick true to ourselves, you know.
We're 70s bands, really. We keep on getting labelled this 80s thing, but really we're from, you know, 77 when, you know, stuck between punk and disco, we were born. When we started up, it was the Pistols and Chic. That was our two extremes of what we got into, you know. And that's how we sort of ended up what we are, you know, in a way. And
A Chic Sex Pistol.
that's right.
It strikes me that INXS has an awful lot of, call it raw sensuality, if you will. I'm thinking of the video where there's the woman opening the red, red fig. And the inside sleeve of the first record that was released here in North America, Shabu Shuba, where you're all lying naked with a sheep over like some 19th century painting.
No, well, that was exactly what it was meant to look like. But I mean, no, seriously, it was, the reason we did that naked shot was so that we didn't have any clothes on. No, it was
It's the most honest thing you could do, you know, I mean, like...
You know, if we did it without any clothes or like, you know, hairdos or anything like that, then it would present some form of mystery as to what the band is actually on about as far as the image, you know.
In the silence, I think of you. I sent a message, hope it gets through.
What's a special ingredient in your band that keeps you together?
That's a good point. I suppose we've never really thought about doing throwing people out or changing anything. We're very happy the way it works. It's a good combination of people. You know?
We grew up together. You know, we started off very young, and we've been playing together for 17 years. So in some ways, it feels like a family.
The hardest thing to explain is that part of it is we're friends. And it sounds weird and hard to believe, but it's true.
It's the only way you could survive.
And it's, you know,
Friendship.
three brothers as well.
Ironically, one of the questions that come at us recently is, you know, it's what's it like being with your brothers in a group? Must be really tough, must be really hard. All I can say is, actually, it's fantastic because you get to experience all of it, but you really know you're sharing with someone who cares, you know.
It's cool.
It's a weird thing about, people say, how could you be in a band for 20 years, and when you drive each other crazy? I mean, there's a certain element of that, 6 Australian blokes in one room together.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But you actually, it's dangerous. But,
yeah.
But
It's
at
also,
the same time,
it's also friends and family.
That's right.
We've been together 20 years as a group.
We've been together 30 years as friends.
Yeah.
Fever was so strong.
Michael would perform, guys wanted to punch him in the face. The guys didn't like Michael.
Yeah, well, chicks liked him, That was the problem, So all these guys.
So it was all the
that go to
jealous
pub with
boyfriends.
Yeah, that's what it was about.
You might know of the original sin, and you might know how to play with fire. But did you know of the murder committed in the name of love? Yeah, you thought what a pity.
It was an eye-opener when we did first come to America, and it was a bit of a problem in a way, because not only could they not work out what the name of the band was, INXS, they also didn't know how to pigeonhole us, what label to put on the band, like, what are you, and we couldn't really answer either. We just said, well, we're INXS, that's like it or leave it,
The image that I get from you is that you're turning into a real pop star.
Oh, really?
You're getting. That's right. But are you comfortable with that role?
It's something in other people's minds, I've always thought.
Yes, you are all you need.
Even though you are a band, you seem to get a lot of the attention.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people in the band. I don't know. I think we try and keep it equal as possible.
I forget who was it that talked about it, but they said when Michael would perform, guys wanted to punch him in the face. The guys didn't like Michael.
Yeah, well, chicks liked him, That was the problem, So all these guys that go to the pub with their... Yeah, that's what it was about.
Well, yeah, I mean...
And he's pretty cheeky and, like, a bit precocious and all that sort of thing. He liked a bit of trouble around,
Hey, you, don't you listen? This is not the end of it all. Don't you see? It's the rhythm. Take you where you really need to be. Oh.
Michael Hutchence, sex symbol of the 80s. This is the headline everywhere. How does that affect the band? Is it good or bad for the band?
Well, we have a hard time keeping our hands off him. Apart from that, I don't know. Rolling Stone magazine, for the first cover of the band, won't use the band. They only want a shot of the singer, but that's been the same for every single band that's ever been on the cover of Rolling Stone, at least the first time anyway. Yeah. And it's things like that that we said no to the cover because Michael was getting a lot of focal attention, and we want people to really, understand that we are a band. We're not a supporting band behind Michael Hutchence.
Michael, unfortunately for him, because he's the front man and he's the focal point of the band, he can't go anywhere without sort of, it's him, sort of thing. And so people that end up in that situation tend to hang out with other people in that situation.
We'll find
chemistry's probably only changed in a way that we've been together so long. You know what I mean? There's no sort of surprises anymore. But at the same time, it makes it a really, really great pleasure to work with the guys too, because just everything, I don't know, it just seems to gel really quickly when we play stuff together, you know, and it's just a really nice feeling.
Everybody in INXS is sort of that different from each other, you know, that it makes it really interesting, you know, and we need that sort of interest now because we've been together so long and it'd be pretty easy to get bored with each other.
You know, I think the one thing about INXS that's kept us together is we've all been capable of controlling each other's egos, or, you know, or most of them anyway.
So slide over here and give me a moment. Your moves are so raw. I've got to let you know.
It can be very difficult to cope with because, you know, success may look glamorous and all that sort of thing, but invariably what it means to the actual, you know, performer or artist, it means you get no time to yourself. Everyone wants a piece of you. You know, life becomes very busy and full, and it just doesn't stop unless you stop it. And a lot of people spin out.
I've got to let you know you're my kind. All you got is this moment. 21st century is yesterday. You can care all you want. Everybody does, yeah, that's okay. So slide over here and give me a moment.
Thankfully, we've got to where we've got because we've just been doing something we enjoy and believe in. And that entails everything, you know. I'm not a sort of self-made rock star in the sense that I haven't been mercenary in any fashion. And if I'm popular for whatever reasons, or the band is popular for whatever reasons, we've arrived to that position in a very natural fashion, you know? So in that way, we don't have to really answer to anything. And if we can just keep on that even keel, we're fine, you know?
Tim commented around the time of Kick's release was that he was warned about the massive success. You had experienced success, sure, up to that point, lots of it, but Kick would just increase it.
Yeah.
And he was warned about success. When I was reading that, I just thought that's strange to warn someone about success. Everybody wants it. What would you warn someone about it?
Well, it's not that. It's pretty difficult. I think, you know, it depends on who you are, but it can be very difficult to cope with because, you know, success may look glamorous and all that sort of thing, but invariably what it means to the actual, you know, performer or artist, it means you get no time to yourself. Everyone wants a piece of you. You know, life becomes very busy and full, and it just doesn't stop unless you stop it. And a lot of people spin out.
Devil inside, the devil inside. Every single one of us, the devil inside, devil inside, devil inside. Every single one of us, the devil inside. Oh.
We've been sort of out there doing whatever we were going to do in the first place for a long time, quite a long time, and it was great that the world turned around and liked it all at once, you know. It wasn't really a shock, to be honest. It was like, yeah, okay, you know, seems right. I mean, you know, when you're out there touring for 13 years, it's not too much of a surprise or something that you'd be too shocked about. Music is not a means to an end. It's what we do, you know. This is what we do, regardless. It's not just how you get to be famous or how you get to make money. That really is an end product of, if it so happens that it goes that way, of it as well.
We sort of
think of ourselves as a fairly honest, you know, sort of straightforward band.
Yeah, it's much more natural than that. I mean, that's possibly why we've been out there and we have made a lot of albums and we're still together. I mean, it's what it is. And when the world comes around to it, that's great. But we're not sitting around figuring out ways to make people like us. Apart from just the band on stage. Yeah, we've been working together for a long time, and I don't know what it is. We still enjoy it. Maybe that's it.
Most of it's been about music, and we've tried to be pretty much a live band as well. Live performances figured very much in what we've done. You know,
the touring thing.
Yeah, the touring thing has been a big part of whatever it is we've done, and those live performances are a part of those high points in our career. Well, the 80s was a great decade for us, but actually our beginnings were in the 70s, and yet the 90s, interestingly enough, the 90s for us was a decade where some of our biggest achievements actually happened in the 90s, you know? Whether it was from the biggest record deal we had to the biggest gigs we ever did.
Or the biggest selling albums.
Yeah, the biggest selling records.
In Europe.
Should've finished before it began.
I have more drive than ever in some ways, I think, strangely. I thought I wouldn't, but I do. But I think what happens is, you know, maybe you just get a, I reckon you kind of get a more of a focus, and you get, you sort of know more what you want, and so you're going to struggle more to achieve it.
One thing I have learned a lot about recently is just, you know, being happy with achievements.
Sure.
And because you were saying it's a monster of a business, yeah, it is. But the biggest monster of all is yourself. You have to be happy with what you're doing. I mean, I said this as a joke more or less the other day to Michael. I said, what are we doing this for? Because you just want some endless number one? I mean, no, I'm actually beginning to realize now I've been extremely fortunate. I make music and I get to do it in a field I enjoy doing it in. I'm very lucky, man. I'm very happy. And that means a lot. And that will probably mean we, as a band, if they feel the same way, can continue to do what we do. Because as soon as you feel that you're a failure because your albums aren't selling millions of records, and as soon as you feel like that, to me, you're not really doing it anymore, because that's not really what it's all about. You should enjoy what you're doing.
The amount of experience that you go through in doing what we do is many lifetimes in some ways, you know. The problem is holding on to something, a fixed point, for long enough to understand it and get something from it.
Yeah.
That's the difficult part. So time to reflect is probably my most important times. And when not doing anything, to be able to stop and think about what gotten or achieved and stuff. But otherwise, you know, it's kind of zoom, 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 really.
I'm on fire. You were said, girl, so perfectly true.
Obviously, because he was, you know, media fodder and all that sort of thing. You know, people sort of, I guess they think there must be more to it. You know, there must be. They want an angle, you know, and it's just not there.
this beauty, physical beauty equals inner beauty, is rubbish. You know, men do tend to idolize or put on pedestal of their concept of beauty. That's a fact. And in my own life, I've learnt great lessons about this. Where I thought I was enlightened, and have learnt really big lessons about this. And in certain circles and certain people, where oh, it is true. You know, just because I'm absolutely besotted by someone, the way they look, doesn't mean they're a good person or you know, a strong or a solid person. You know, they can be an absolute nightmare.
Beautiful girl, stay with me. Beautiful girl, stay with me.
I know we made a video about it.
Yeah, we
for
did.
a song called Beautiful Girl. You know, it was a song that started off as a song about Andrew's newborn daughter. It's called Beautiful Girl. Very simple, sweet song. We revved it up and took it even further, a bit more complex, into about a runaway, confused young runaway girl. And part of her confusion is the fact that she can't stand all this pressure on her from all the magazines and the media. You got to be this and do that and eat this and not eat that and, you know, wear this. And
you got to look like Barbie doll.
You got to be this, you know, acme human.
Beautiful girl, stay with me.
It's a senseless pursuit, absolutely senseless pursuit, and it lacks any value system, you know? Real, true value system. That's why people will sell their mothers and sell crack to buy a Porsche. Same difference. Same for men. Men are out there right now mixed up in the same confusion, you know? And it lacks any basic value, you know?
This ain't the good life.
We are a between eras band.
We're a 70s
we
band.
started out before the technology existed, and we developed our own style. And then this technology's come along and we've incorporated it into what we do. But we're lucky in as much as we started out as an old-fashioned band, in a sense.
Yeah,
we were actually a 70s band. When we
the
formed
80s
in
we tried to
77.
ignore. I remember the whole of the 80s, we're like, we don't want anything to do with anyone. We want to be original. That's all we want to do, is be our own band.
And the 90s?
Well, actually, the 70s is quite chic at the moment, right now.
Yeah, we're going to go disco on you.
Don't lose your head, 'cause I can't do the time. Don't lose your head.
Tim was saying, around the early 90s, he stopped recognizing Michael as a person that he knew. Did he drift away from the band at all at that time?
You know what, I think, if I can just say, I think when we were talking to another gentleman the other day who said to us, and he was in a completely different business, you know, to the one we're in, you know, and he said, you know, it's amazing, you guys have worked together for over 20 years, and I can't work with someone for more than a month without it driving me nuts. And I assume what he meant by that is that once you get to really know someone inside their soul, look in their eyes and find out what they're about, you really get, oh, maybe there's some stuff in there I don't want to see, I don't want to go there, you know? But when you work with people for like 20 years, you get to see everything, you know, every single up and deep down and way up there and everything in between and sideways, and you begin to realize that, a bit like family, you know, you take it all or you don't take any of it. I think probably what Tim meant is just simply that, you know, you go through phases with people, you go, wow, do I really know this person? Do I really know this guy? You know, do I know this? I mean, who is this person? You know, because you get to know sides of people that, you know, you wouldn't know if you didn't know them for years, that you might even find in your own family, that you have an experience with someone in your family, and you think, you know, I didn't even know that someone in my family could do something like that.
I'm the psychopath.
To be famous and to be a front person for a band, you know, you need a certain level of self-confidence to pull it off, you know, so you've really got to live the life. And I don't think for Michael it's very easy for him to sort of, you know, put on his rock star outfit or whatever and suddenly become Michael Hutchence. You know, he just is Michael Hutchence, and that's just the way he lives his life. So what you see is really the real picture. You know, that is him. That's the way he lives.
I am searching. I am not alone.
Yeah, this is the horrible, horrible thing, that it's an indulgent kind of world that you live in, and it indulges you to be that way.
Well, they expect you to be that way, though, too.
People don't mind if you kill yourself. They're quite happy about that. It's bizarre. There's not many other things like that, so, yeah.
It's like when you work in the newsroom and someone dies, you know, there's almost like, someone died today, we got a lead story.
Great, lead story, yeah. Yeah, well, I hope I don't become a lead story.
Don't ask me what you know is true.
We saw him, a distant figure on a stage, and somehow felt that we knew him. We listened to him sing and felt that it was for us alone. And we, the comparative strangers, gather with those who knew Michael well, those who are here today to remember and to farewell one who was to them a son, a brother, a partner, a father, a colleague, and a friend.
We will remember him with love and affection. We will all miss you, Michael. God bless you.
We could live for 1,000 years, but if I hurt you.
Obviously, because he was, you know, media fodder and all that sort of thing. You know, people sort of, I guess they just think there must be more to it. You know, there must be. They want an angle, you know, and it's just not there.
Not in defense of people who want to know
Yeah.
or anything like that, but I'm talking about fans. When I say the public, I don't mean this. I mean people who have bought records along the way.
Sure.
May think that they know Michael, or they had known him by being there and spending money and buying the records. And I think when it happened, maybe they didn't know him. And I think they're confused by it. Much like maybe a lot of people were looking for answers.
Well, we were really confused by it too, I mean, I've got to say, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the same position as our fans. And that for us, you know, is exactly right. In fact, probably in many ways, we didn't have the luxury to be distant and come and go from that. And you know,
the separation that,
you know.
If I hurt you, I may wipe from your tears.
Well, you gotta love life. I mean, 2 years before Michael died, there's 3 Pharises in the band. Our mother died of cancer, you know. If ever you've lost someone in your life that's very close to you, then you realise life's very precious, life's very short. We're not here for a very long time. You might as well enjoy yourself.
You kind of reevaluate it. I mean, I think, you know, with both death and birth, I don't know if you've had children yourself, but you know, when you have a child, you reevaluate too.
Absolutely.
All your priorities sort of shift around and change. And same when someone close to you dies, you know, you suddenly realise, gee, you know, we're not immortal, and you know, you suddenly realise, hey, maybe, you know, you should be saying stuff to your close friends and family before it's too late to say it to them.
Yeah,
know?
tell them you love them, tell them you care about them.
Yeah. So it's interesting, you know.
Did you have the chance to say that?
Actually, for me, it was pretty interesting, really, because you know, we're all pretty close and we're all very much a family, you know, and there was a period there for quite a while where, for me, Michael and I were a bit distant, you know. He moved overseas at some point in our career, and I kind of lost a bit of the closeness and the friendship and the touch with him, and it wasn't until really until Elegantly Wasted, until we started recording that, and then touring it, that Michael and I became really close again, you know. It was actually really good. I'm glad that happened. I would have been pretty sad if that hadn't happened, you know, before he passed away.
I see your face, I will survive, mystify me.
We can never sound like we did with Michael again. We can't do that. But once you come to terms with that and realise that and deal with that and in a kind of grown-up way and move on from that area, then...
A weight off the shoulders.
It's a weight off your shoulders.
And we're leaving, yeah, we're leaving broken hearts behind, mystified.
It's been 3 years, more than 3 years. How come, other than a few press releases, there hasn't been a whole lot of discussion?
Yeah, we chose...
Did it just feel like it was time to maybe talk about stuff now?
The thing is that for us, you know, Michael was a very close dear friend. He was a partner. He was, you know, a songwriting partner for Andrew. You know, it was a family sort of thing. And when Michael died, you know, it was probably more of a shock to us than the rest of the world in a way, because we knew him, and you know what I mean. And so we thought, look, you know, there's nothing really that needs to be discussed. It's happened. No one knows why. You know, there was nothing like that. We'll just do a press release, and that's all that needs to be said. And then, unfortunately, you know, what happens is then everyone starts sort of, you know, making up things, blah blah blah, and whatever else. And we just didn't want to be party to any of that. You know, we felt that there wasn't really anything that needed to be said. We're not answerable to anything.
We don't need any fiction. We don't need the stimulation of fiction and conjecture. There's no point to us because he was our friend. So it's like, why go there?
There's something about you, girl, makes me sweat. How do you feel? I'm lonely. What do you think? I can't think it out. What you gonna do? I'm gonna live my life. Side over here and give me a moment.
INXS will always be a part of you. You will always be INXS.
In it, yeah.
But without the sadly and much missed Michael, there cannot be an INXS. Or could there?
Absolutely there can, there still is, you know. It just won't be the same. It'll just be a different INXS.
That's right.
You know, the five of us are still here, and you know, Andrew still writes songs, and it's really just, I think it's just going to be a bit of a learning curve or an accepting curve for the fans that I guess already exist. They, like us, sort of have to get over, you know, the loss of Michael, and I think, you know, ultimately, it's up to us whether INXS still exists or not, and we've decided, or we never had to sort of remake the decision that we're going to continue. You know, we just kind of kept quiet for a while, and you know, we're quite keen to sort of get on with it, do some touring, possibly do some new recording, and it will be a situation where you can't please everyone. You know, I guess some of our fans will go, well, don't want to know about them. You know, it's not the same.
But I think now, you know, for what we're doing now, this anthology, Shine Like It Does, for us represents a body of work that the six of us did as a group in this time, and it represents the work that we've done. And as Kirk said before, we can never sound like we did with Michael again. We can't do that. But once you come to terms with that and realise that and deal with that, and in a kind of grown-up way, and move on from that area, then...
A weight off the shoulders.
It's a weight off your shoulders, and in a strange way, it's also out of respect for Michael to say, well, you know, this is a great body of work, and this is his work as well as ours. But that's a closure too, in the sense of that's a great body of work. So whatever we do now for the future, in a sense, is our own future beyond that. And there it is.
Don't ask me what you know is true. Didn't have to tell you.
I've always really admired his singing. I think if ever there was a guy who could fill the boots that were left behind, he'd be the guy.
I appreciate getting the opportunity to do something which has such, which is capable of touching such an emotional nerve, you know, as it touches for him. Because it feels like I'm participating in something that's cathartic, and I'm happy to be a part of that process.
That night's about a celebration of just being us, being INXS, and, you know, having a good time.
I think it'll be fantastic. I don't expect anything less than excellence.
The actual playing part of it has been a breeze. I mean, Terence has fitted in absolutely perfectly.
Welcome, INXS and their special guest star, Terence Trent D'Arby. I got a new sensation in perfect moments, impossible to use.
I felt liberated all the way through the whole experience. Burst the bubble, face the demons, just embrace it. And it was totally liberating, you know.
What really took us by surprise was the reaction of the kids. It helped make it all worthwhile.
But to come off stage and see all those enthusiastic, happy, smiling faces, it's just spiritually encouraging. You know?
It's just like, in fact, it's probably the healthiest thing of all, is in a sense just to naturally grieve the loss of a friend, come to terms with that, and then say, well, okay, now I really miss my friend. He was a great singer. He was a great songwriter. He was our friend. Let's move on.
Mystify me. Mystify me. I need perfection. Some twisted selection that tangles me to keep me alive.
INXS Shine Like It Does. I'm not going to say a greatest hits record because you already have one. This is an anthology. Explain the difference.
There's a lot really. I mean, this actually, although it has a lot of the singles on it, about half of it is not. At least in North America. Some of them were singles in Australia that were never released here, some in Europe. But it's basically a collection of throughout, right from the beginning up until the last album that we've recorded. And there's different mixes, different sort of versions of some songs, and it's all done chronologically. So it's interesting. I mean, it's got the first single we ever released, and its B-side. And yeah, it's different. It's not just straight out sort of greatest hits, best of. It's more of a reflection of our career, kind of a summary of the music we made together with Michael, and so it's kind of a bit of a tribute, but it's also a closure to that 20 years with that INXS had up until that point.
But if I hurt you, I may whine from your tears. I told you that we could fly, 'cause we all have wings. Some of us don't know why.
If we decide that, that it doesn't work, then we'll be the first ones to know. But at the moment, what's actually been happening is a lot of people are saying, what are you doing? Why don't you come out and play, you know? Why don't you come out and perform? Why don't you make some new records or whatever? You know, there's not like people are shoveling dirt on us. And so, you know, and I wrote a lot of the music for the band, and I'm very much here and alive, you know? I'm right here, right now, you know? In real time, you know? So